stop there.
There we go.
Okay. Right, here we go. Next one is going back. Now this one here, in fact the last two are for people I think who are probably a little bit more experienced in history. They're people who have got already done level 1, level 2, got a bit of an idea of how the research process operates. I don't think if you're new to history, I would be going for these ones unless you're really interested in it. The reason for that, this one here, is because it's a 400 years of research assignment, whereas the other ones are 20th century contexts. This one's got 1600, 1585. That time period is going back in time a hell of a lot. You know, it's going back a lot more. Therefore, a lot more history has been written about it over the years than these other 20th century ones. And you need to be aware of that. It's kind of a word of warning to you, really. But here we are. It says if we accept Sir Francis Drake, so he is obviously a very famous adventurer, naval admiral, and he is in the time of Queen Elizabeth. So Queen Elizabeth comes to the throne 1558, 1559, 1558 I think it was, but she stays on the throne. Interestingly enough, a similar period of time to Queen Victoria that we studied in the 19th century. But Queen Elizabeth stays on 1558 through to 1603. And so just time period. And of course, one of the things that the English do at this stage is they break from Rome. They break from the Roman Catholic Church. And they create a Protestant Church of England. And of course, the defender of the faith at this stage, and the faith is the Roman Catholic faith, becomes Spain. Because Spain is really the most powerful nation on continental Europe. It's called the Golden Century of Spain, the 16th century. And Spain takes it upon himself, the king, plus all of his soldiers and so on, to deal to England. Because England has shifted its faith away from the true faith, which of course is Roman Catholicism. And so they send this Armada, this battleship, a series of battleships, over to England to actually smash them, to actually make them realise who's the boss and who the true faith is and so on. This has got an assumption built into it that, like all of them, that may or may not be correct. So your initial reading will actually unpack whether in fact you think his navy was inferior. So Navy defining how it is a navy is actually defined as being inferior or superior as part of a research part. Because if you think about it, if you've got a small manoeuvrable ship as opposed to a huge big ship that's not very manoeuvrable but it's got bloody big guns on it, does lots of small ships mean that you've got an advantage over one big ship that can't turn? Because you're dealing with sailing ships, of course. So you need to unpack that notion a little bit as to whether in fact his navy was inferior. But certainly acknowledged as the most powerful navy at the time would have been the Spanish Armada. And they come over and try and deal with Francis Drake, and of course they are unsuccessful. Very famous, story of him playing bowls on Plymouth Hoe and being told that Spanish Armada is coming up the English Channel. And he said, look, just finish my game of bowls and then I'll go and deal to them. And of course he does, you see. So it becomes a little bit of a story that people tell at barbecues in the 17th century. Okay?